Hello and thank you for taking a look at Rightway Tax Solutions. We appreciate you just taking the time to look at us. If you're a prospective user or if you're an existing customer, thank you the same. What we wanted to do here is introduce you to our website real quick, where we have a lot of our training resources. If you haven't visited rwtsolutions.com, please do. Under the resources page, we do have the training resources here, and you can look at all kinds of videos. This where this video will actually be hosted in the future. We have a YouTube channel. Very good stuff there for both our online solution as well as our desktop solution. What we're going to be discussing today is the rightway.cloudtaxoffice.com platform. This is our web-based platform. It is a brandable solution, so if you are a multi-office or a service bureau and you're looking for a software that can be utilized with your branding, your logo on it, this is a brandable solution. 100% web-based. It has been optimized for use on a tablet or a mobile device such as a phone. You can do tax returns very quickly on there as well. So what we're going to focus on specifically in this video is the throughput of the tax software. We're going to kind of give you a highlight reel, if you will. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. The website again is rightway.cloudtaxoffice.com. The username that I'm using, and feel free to use it as well, is demo14 DEMO14. The password is demo15 DEMO15, and that's going to take you into our demo office. Okay, the platform is very, very easy to use. It's designed for experienced preparers as well as inexperienced preparers to be equally as user friendly, to not be frustrating to those who know what they're doing, and to slow you down, and to be very friendly to those that don't know and allow them some extra information and assistance. So we've logged in. Everything's clearly labeled: start a return, client search, print checks, and 3 prior years worth of tax software available to you. And so I'm logged in as a preparer. My access has been limited, but that's fine, because all we need to do is see our own clients and start new returns. The message center allows you to communicate within your organization, so within the tax office, and also upstream. So if you had multiple offices and you needed to communicate between them, you could basically use this as an in-mail. So I can create the message, and within my organization, it's a very short tree of people, but you could go ahead and communicate between yourselves if you had questions and so forth. So start a return tells you exactly what it's there for. Right below you have a description. You're going to see this theme reoccurring throughout the platform. It's going to tell you give you a description of what it is for, give you a definition of what it's used for, and then you're going to have the select button out here. So we're going to start a new return. It pops up my 7216 reminder: hey, you need to get this signed in order to stay in compliance. It's then going to take me to a double entry for a social security number. Make sure I don't screw it up the first time. And then we're going to create our tax return. Type that in here. Hit continue. And it's going to tell me this: hey, sorry, but this is a new client, or hey, congratulations, you got a new client. We don't have the data from the previous year. For those of you that used the platform last year, obviously the data would be there. It says, hey, we know who this is. Do you want to use that information? And in that case, you just say yes, and you keep it moving. So real quick, the platform is designed to be very familiar. It works just like we're taught to read. So over here on the left-hand side, we have our major sections: basic information, then federal, health insurance. And this red dot is going to move down as we move through the platform. Over here, it's going to move us through the major sections of this category. So on basic information, we have 3 sections: filing status, personal information, and dependents. So this is moving left to right, again, just like we're taught to read. So top to bottom, left to right. Very simple. Now, the program also has a reoccurring theme, which is doing it yourself. You know what you're doing. In this case, it would be for the purpose of selecting a filing status. You know that they're head of household. You asked them the 2 couple or the couple of questions, and you put the entry. Or you're not certain, in which case you could use the filing status wizard, which is going to provide you a couple of questions to ask. They give you the response, you answer the question, and then it tells you the appropriate filing status then to select. So we're going to see that reoccurring throughout the software. So we're going to put in our first name, primary first name, and we're going to make this first name is our taxpayer. We're going to go to date of birth, 10/10/1981, sales, and scroll down to the address here, 255 West Boulevard, 95242, where we're headquartered out here in California. Put in our area code, and then we click continue. If you need to go back, you can. You can click filing status. Again, that's a reoccurring theme. Is at the bottom. You can go to the previous page or continue on. Next page is our dependents. Oh, we're in California. It recognized the address. We got a couple of things that are specific to California. Did your name address change? Nope. Do you qualify for the renter's credit out here in California? We're going to say we're a homeowner, so we don't qualify for the renter's credit. Click continue. Do you have dependents? Here's a quick definition of what a dependent is. So we're going to say yes, we do. And this is going to be name 10/10 of 2010, social security number, something like that. There's my daughter, Hannah. Were they a full-time student, disabled, not your dependent? You don't wish to claim them for EIC, or they're married. This would be your extra stuff. If they were disabled, God forbid, but it does happen, unfortunately. You click on that, you put in the disability type, and you keep going. Click continue. We're going to add one more. This is going to be our son, and he was born on 2011. Social security number, something like that. Live with me for 12 months. Click continue. Click continue one more time, and you're going to see we moved into our federal section. So this is what I was discussing earlier. I know what I'm doing, or please provide me a little more assistance. I'm going to use the guide me on our deduction sections just to show you how that works. In terms of entering your income forms, or entering forms in general, I should say, you've got the three different ways to access that. You've got the enter myself, which will present you that section in the income section, line 7 through line 21, basically as these are your major categories. And then you have the form number. So if you really know what you're doing, just come up here, type in your W-2 form, and you can get right there. So if I go, you can go to your W-2 form here. You can go down to your Schedule C, line 12 right here. Or you can just come up here, type in schedule, and it'll pull up all your schedules for you. So it really is a tax preparer's platform, but also for a newbie, it provides that little extra assistance to help them as they're learning the form numbers and learning how to get through a return. So we're going to click into our W-2, go to our EIN. It takes us right there. Type in 987654321, which is a made-up employer, and it populates all of the information for that employer. It does have an EIN database in the platform. We put in our income, does all the calculations for us, put in our withholding, jump down to the state portion, because we did add a state, California, put in our EIN, pulls it forward from the database, and we put in our taxes paid, click continue, and we keep it moving. If you needed to add another W-2, so anytime you have something that could be multiple forms, 1099s, W-2s, as we saw in dependents, you got the add button that's right below it that allows you to add an additional whatever form you were just in. Okay, over here on the right hand side you can see our Fed and state calculation automatically populating. The assumption, important to note, the assumption here is we currently qualify for EIC based on our income and our dependent information. If our income jumped up dramatically, obviously that EIC would fall off. But in this case, we're currently qualifying even prior to filling out the 8867. So if we answer those questions appropriately and it disallows the dependents or disallows EIC for anybody on the return, then that refund will reflect accordingly. Click continue. Let's go ahead and say we have a Schedule C, very common form. You're self-employed, your taxpayer self-employed, business name is self-employed, and we don't have a different address, but we do need to put in a business code. So you can either select from the list, or if you can't find an appropriate description, you can type in a description and click continue. That will satisfy the IRS requirement for a business classification. Click continue, and we get into our Schedule C. The Schedule C is basically 5 sections. You've got your basic information, which we just covered. You've got your questions, you've got your income, you've got your expenses, and we've broken that up into a couple of extra categories just to make it simpler. The subcategories of expenses, which includes depreciation and car and truck. So a little bit easier to distinguish and see those items, just to have them separate. Questions, we have those default answered to the appropriate response 99.9% of the time, unless you're dealing with somebody that's a minister or clergy or has a little bit something outside the box. Income, this is where we're going to put in their money. How much money did they make for the year? Gross receipts, we'll say they had $10,000, and we'll click continue. From here, we're going to enter in our expenses. Just go to general expenses. What did we pay in advertising? $250. What did we pay in insurance other than health? We had to protect our office space. We had legal, had to draw up some contracts, office expense, paper and toner, rent or lease. What was that? That was $3,500. Repairs and maintenance, another 500. Supplies, another 500. And we click continue. We also used our car and truck. We drove it a bunch, going around and picking up documents and so forth. And that was on our Toyota Camry. And it was placed in service in 1/1 of 2014. And we drove 5,000 business miles. We drove 1,500 commuting miles and 5,000 other. We're going to check these boxes. Obviously, you need to present that. Do we have written evidence to support your deduction? Continue. And if we had another car, go ahead and click add there. Going to click continue. And if we had assets to depreciate, you're going to depreciate those as well. Very, very simple. Business use of home. For the sake of time, I'm just going to jump by these. And we're going to say that that is all the income that we had for the time being. Now what I want to demonstrate for you is the guide me using deductions. So deductions are something you want to pay special attention to. Your taxpayer could have some positive tax consequences or tax benefits by appropriately entering in all of their appropriate deductions. Guide me will ask you a series of questions as it relates to deductions. So, do you have any deductions related to you or your family? Did you have child or dependent care costs, earned income credit, adoption expenses? If you said yes, it's then going to ask you give you a definition of what child and dependent care costs are for, 2441 we know, and then have you enter in that information. If you say no, it's going to jump you to the next section. Did you own a home at any time in 2014? In which case you may have real estate taxes, mortgage insurance, and so forth. So you would answer those appropriately. Did you make any donations to charity? If you say yes, you would come in here and put what that is. And now if you're experienced, you can just come up here and you could type in charitable, and you could type in charity deductions and just jump straight to that portion of what is your Schedule A. So we're going to say we had cash gift to charity. What is it? It's our church. And this was tithe. And we had 10,000 or $1,000. And the date of donation, you can do a couple of different things. You can either put in if it was a one-time lump sum and you wanted to be very specific, or you could just override and just put in a flat amount with no date. So it would just kind of encompass the entire year as opposed to a specific donation date, if that makes sense. So if you were trying to catalog every entry, you would use that method, or you would use the override and just put it in for the entire year. If you had multiple entries and you wanted to notate them out or create a list, you would come down here and click add. Very simple. Okay, so that's how the guide me portion works and the form finder. So at this point, we've gone through our income. We've entered a W-2. We've entered in a Schedule C with some basic income and expenses. We've gone through the form finder and entered some deductions in our Schedule A for charitable contributions. And we've shown you how the guide me portion works again. So from here, I'm just going to jump to health insurance. This was something new for last year for a lot of us, and it could have been confusing. We've made it as simple as possible in the online platform, giving you a series of explanations for what what it's asking for. Did you or your family have health insurance at any time during 2014? If you say no, you're pretty much done with the questionnaire. It's going to ding you with the penalty, and you're done. If you say yes, you did, you're going to then click continue. It's going to ask you an additional question. Did you purchase health insurance via healthcare.gov or a state marketplace? So this is asking you, did you buy it through the state exchange or the federal website? If you say yes, then generally you would have also received a form 1095A, and that's for reconciling your healthcare coverage through the tax return. That's your tax form for healthcare coverage. And it can get a little technical and it can get a little confusing. I'm going to say no, meaning we bought it off exchange, and click continue, saying that our whole household was covered for all 12 months, which then just that's the simplest way to go about getting this thing complete, but it may not be accurate. Okay, so here it's pulling up my state return, California. It's already added it. If you need to go through and edit that and add anything to it, answer any questions, you would then click edit, and then it asks you how do you want to input your state return. Either use the guide me or enter myself. Now there's not a lot to do generally in these state returns, but if you did, you would go through and enter in the additional credits. So if you had nothing else to enter, you would just click continue and you're pretty much done with the return. You can even bypass this entire thing just by coming over here and clicking summary and print. So I'm going to click summary and print. Oop. Sorry. Click no. Now go to your summary and print or continue. Summary and print is where it shows you how the calculations are working. So you can jump straight here from your federal section if you're wondering how things are flowing over. If you actually want to see your 1040, you can go into helpful tools and you can print or view a sample return. So basically a file copy of the return. So at any time if you wanted to print the return, see how things are carrying over, you can go right here and do that. If you want to see how the calculations are carrying out, you can come in here and you can look at your payments and see how did I get $8,500 in this refund? Oh, okay. Well, I had that withheld. There's my credit. There's my additional child tax credit. Okay, it all adds up. Good. We're good to go. You would come down here, click continue if you would like. And there's one form we haven't filled out yet, which is a very important form, our 8867 EIC due diligence checklist. Was the taxpayer non-resident alien for any part of the year? No, no. Obviously, you're going to want to ask your taxpayer these questions and document the responses appropriately. EIC due diligence is a very serious matter, and we want to make sure that we answer these appropriately and keep all of the necessary documents. So I'm just filling this out real quick. Oops. Knowing the responses in order to maintain the credit in our hypothetical scenario here. Click continue. Miscellaneous statement. Miscellaneous statement are just some notes that you can make. You can also make notes over here and tag them to particular pages. And then we come to our e-file page. This is the second to last page. This is a very important page. This is where we select our disbursement method for the taxpayer's federal refund. How do we want their refund to be distributed? Do we want IRS snail mail check, in which case your fees are not deducted? Do we want IRS direct deposit, in which case your fees are not deducted? Or do we want to utilize a bank product, TFS ERC, which is the check, TFS ERD, which is the direct deposit, or the TFS card? Because the TFS ERC requires the least amount of input, and it makes up, honestly, about 70% of the overall distributions, which is the check that you print in your office. Your taxpayers love to come in. Tax offices love to hand them out because everybody's smiling and happy. And you click next. Here's where our fees are going to populate. We can change these. We have a minimum. You can set a minimum preparation fee floor. You can also create custom billing items that are specific to programs that you're using in your office. You have roadside assistance, credit repair, those items that you can set them as default. There's a number of things we can do there. We won't spend much time on that. We're going to click next. We have a state refund coming back in California. How do you want this? We're also going to send that through the bank. It kind of ensures the fact that we're going to get paid. If the Fed doesn't fund but the state does, the fees will be, our preparation fees will be deducted from the state return, which is a good thing for us. We click next. 7216, yep, we got that. And now we need to put in the taxpayer's ID type. The issue date was October 1st of 2010, and the expiration date is sometime in the future, and it was from California. Click save, and we're on to our last page. So the top section is printing, but we don't really want to print until we've gotten our taxpayer's signature on everything. So you can, if you're using a phone or a touchscreen computer or a tablet, literally just have your taxpayer take their finger and sign on here, just like they're signing on a credit card receipt on a pad. Or if you're not using a touchscreen enabled device, you can use the mouse of the computer and just type in their signature. If they don't like it, come back in, have them do it again. Sign in cursive. Click save. You're going to see that signature right there. It's a beautiful thing. And now when you print all of your documents, you're going to see that PDF generate with their signature already on it. There's the 8879, your signature. You go to the bank documents, it's going to be on there. At this case, we could print, or at this point, we could print signed documents, which is a huge time saver for you, and I'll show you how to make it a paper saver. So we're going to want to mark this return complete if we're done, and we're going to, at this point, depending on your preparer permissions. So if you're a preparer in the office, you may have, depending on the process, may have a review process to where somebody in the office is going to touch that return, review the documents, and make sure everything's there before it gets sent off, which is a great thing. You would then be able to mark the return ready for review. You may not be able to even mark the return complete, which is still fine. The reviewer would then mark the return complete and then save and transmit it to the IRS. If you do not have transmitting privileges, what you would then do is save and exit this return. What that's going to do is put your return in a review status. The administrator or manager in the office will have, right under client search, have a mark returns marked for review that would be blinking at them, letting them know, hey, let's complete this guy. And they would then go in, review that information, and send it on its way. Okay, so we've covered a number of things. I hope that this was very informative and very helpful. Showed you the capabilities of the software, how user friendly it is for those that are new to taxes, in addition to showing you how efficient it is for those of you that are experienced in taxes. And we really hope to be working with you. We appreciate the opportunity and hope you have an amazing tax season. Thank you very much.